Hello my friends, hello my besties, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexis and we're going to be talking about books I really hate today. No joke though, in 2024 I read about 90 books and while there were some really good ones, which I actually talked about last week on my channel, there are also some books that made me want to pull my hair out in every plausible way, and those are the books we're talking about today. This is the type of video you should watch if you enjoy being a hater. Otherwise, it's okay if you don't want to watch it. Please remember, this is not me hating on any of the authors or hating on you if you like the book or hating on anyone who liked the book. That's fine. These are just books that I personally did not like and I'm going to talk about them and that's okay. Not a personal attack. I promise. I pinky promise. I do own a good majority of these books, but to be honest, I'm very sleepy. The sun is setting and I don't feel like grabbing them, so I'm just going to put the picture on the screen here for you if that's okay. If that's okay with you, that's okay with me. So let's talk about some books I really hate. I took notes for this video, as I usually do, but I cannot express how extensive these notes are compared to videos where I'm talking about books I love. Like, I was writing whole paragraphs about these books. These are in chronological order from January until now, but I don't have the dates that I read them, just the order. The very first book in 2024 that I knew was going to make this list was Take Two, Birdie Maxwell. This is a second chance romance where a famous girl comes back to her like small town that she grew up in. However, first of all, I found the writing style very confusing. I could not follow what was happening. I hit it about 100 pages in and felt very lost at times. The female main character, Birdie, also made me want to lose my mind because she was so hateful towards her sister for no reason. No reason. Like, girl, you come back to your small town unannounced. You don't warn your family, you don't warn your sister, you don't warn your parents, you don't tell anyone you're gonna be there. And you show up and you're annoyed that your sister's annoyed with you because you are showing up in her space without any warning, and now you're the victim? No, Birdie. Birdie, you are not the victim, Birdie. I felt like I needed to like shake her shoulders and remind her like, you are not the victim, Birdie. Stop throwing a hissy fit over someone else having feelings, please. The plot was also very unrealistic. Birdie had recently thrown like a tantrum on set, which got her in America's like bad graces. So in order to fix the trajectory of her entire career, she was going to record herself doing like a love letter thing. I don't remember the exact plot, but it was really silly to the point where it's like, why would you possibly think that doing this is going to make America love you again after you were filmed throwing a tantrum on set? I did DNF that one at about 100 pages, and I don't think I have it anymore. The second one I really wanted to like because Penguin Random House really kindly sent me a copy, and then they sent me another copy which had beautiful art inside of it, but I just could not. I did finish this book, but there's no way I'm going to read the sequel, and that is House of Marion. It's a young adult fantasy book. It has enemies to lovers vibes. Very confusing. The world building is very unclear, and there are very obvious plot holes from like the start of the novel. Every page felt overwritten, like the author wanted to have this beautiful flowery writing style, but it felt more like everything was being explained to me 100 times over. And also I felt like the romance was very icky. It just did not make any sense to me. I did not like it. Every single side character that was not the female main character was very empty and just served no point but to be there when the main character was. And that's something that drives me absolutely bonkers when I'm reading, is if the main character is the only person that isn't an NPC. Like, okay, we're reading a book, I get that. These people are not as important as the main character, but why I don't want them to feel like NPCs. It makes the entire world and story just feel so devoid and flat, and that is definitely how this book felt to me. Also, at a point in this book, I got such a sincere and serious ick, which really contributed to me rating this so low. Our main character grows a crown out of her skull. Like, this happens, it's a big thing in the book. They talk about it a lot, about how like when your magic manifests, you can get it in a few different ways, and one of the ways you can get it is like this like crown thing, but like it grows out of her skull. The way she describes it gave me like so much like body horror energy that I just, it icked me out so bad. It icked me out so bad. The premise itself sounded kind of good because like she has dark magic, but she's not supposed to have dark magic, but it was overwritten. I didn't like the romance. I got such ick, and the world felt very flat. Oh, this next one makes me angry. It's The Godparent Trap. This is an adult romance novel that looked so good, and I've had it on my shelf for a very long time. So I decided to pick up the audio version because I wanted to finally mark it as read. The rage I felt in this book is unreal. The first like 80% of this book was lovely. The main two characters are very complete opposites that don't like each other but are forced to be godparents when I think it's like her best friend and his sister, the main character, the mom and her husband, they pass away and leave behind two children, and these two characters must step in to become godparents. It's very emotional. It talks about grief, parenthood, learning to work with someone you don't like for the benefit of the children, and it's very beautiful. I really enjoyed the romance, and I thought that the way the story was going was lovely. However, the ending ruined all of it. All of it. It was gonna be like a 3-star read, and then the ending happened. I will say what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna warn you. So the cover's here, yeah. I'm gonna put something here like a coffee cup or something. When the coffee cup is up, we're gonna be talking spoilers. When it's gone, spoilers are gone. So when the coffee cup's gone, if you don't want to hear the ending of this book, skip past the coffee cup, okay? This is your lot. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're talking spoilers. So at the very end of the book, our main character is driving and sees a car on fire, and she goes, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go save the family in that car. So she runs, saves the people in the car, gets severely injured, and wakes up in the hospital. And it's like, it's kind of full circle because she feels like she did something good and saved a family in a way that she could not have saved her best friend. So, okay, we get it. However, then she wakes up amnesia. It's the amnesia trope. She doesn't remember anything. She doesn't remember the kid. She doesn't remember the guy. Nothing. But he, like, professes his love to her, and he's like, I love you so much. Like, I can't believe you forgot everything. And she, like, amnesia over, she remembers what happens, oh my gosh, I love you, the end. It felt so cheap and like such a weird cop-out to use at the end of this book that was already going so well. Author didn't know what third act conflict to use, and she said, I'm gonna give my character amnesia. It royally angered me in ways that I simply cannot express, and it completely ruined the book for me because it was such a nonsensical ending to a book that was so grounded in grief and the human experience. Okay, coffee cup is done. We're done ranting about that book. Now we're going back to non-spoilers. I don't think the rest of these have spoilers. Next book is Given Our History. I'm putting this on this list not because it was a 1-star or a DNF, but because it was a very disappointing read. I thought I was really gonna like this book and I didn't, and because of that, that's why it's on the list. I think I gave it 2 stars. My first note is it's not awful, it's just disappointing. It promises to be this cozy fall vibes book, and it's really not. There are not fall vibes, and the author is trying to take on so much at one time that nothing makes sense. She wants to take on homeschooling and inequality in the workplace, and she touches on all of these various different topics, but because she's trying to tackle so many of them, it never dives in on any of them. Main characters also have some like weird things, like they kind of lack depth, and it seems like she kind of throws them into one situation and then says it lasted 5 years or so as a way to not have to think about what they were doing during a gap of time. Like our main male character was with someone for like 7-something years. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It was simply a hot mess. I tackled too much and it failed. And it makes me sad because I really wanted to like it, and I simply did not. That one was a little less ranty. I was a little nicer about that one, but I think the biggest rant is yet to come, and I know when we're gonna get there. Next book is To Have and to Heist. So I actually accidentally was sent the sequel to this book from Berkeley, and then I was like, oh shoot, I didn't realize that this wasn't the first book, so I'm gonna go back and read the first book so I can read the second book. The plot is like a romance heist book where there's a bunch of cast of characters who are trying to pull off a heist, and there's also like a weird love triangle element, and it was like, no. It was such a hot mess. The male main character, in the like first 20% I did consume of this book, irked me so much, and the female main character, just like, I was so unbelievably annoyed by all of these characters and the decisions they were making and the things that they were saying. I really wanted to like this because I think a heist book can be so interesting, but this was such a pass for me, and I'm not even gonna try the second book. I didn't even finish the first book. It just was not. I would not recommend. First, speaking of books that fill me with a blind rage, is Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. I actually talked about this book in a reading vlog. I think that might have come out a couple weeks ago at this point. If you want to see, send them in. Send in the baby. Hi, Banana Bread. Come here, baby boy. My cat just entered the room. This book sends me into a blind... You're gonna hear lots of meowing. My cat just entered the room. There's my good boy. All that for what? All that for what, Banana Bread? This book is a young adult fall vibes book about our main character who is just so quirky and so unique because she doesn't like pumpkin spice. She works at a cafe, and it's supposed to be, I think, like enemies to lovers because the love interest works at a different cafe that opens across the street, and it's like a chain versus she's at like a local cafe. However, this book can best be described as the author tried to put the words pumpkin spice latte on every single page of the book just to see if you would notice. I want someone with a Kindle to go on this book and look up how much pumpkin spice is said, because I sincerely believe it will be almost every single page. Every character was flat. The female main character, the male main character, the mom. The mom was supposed to be like this cool entrepreneur who like opened her own cafe, but we get no backstory about how that happened, why that happened, and the main character, her only personality trait is that she's like pumpkin spice lattes. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I sincerely cannot remember a single thing about her besides that she had a deep disdain for pumpkin spice lattes, and also that the author has never worked in a coffee shop in her entire life. This exact plot happened several times over. I need you to understand that I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, this exact setup happened several times over. The female main character would be at the place she worked, and someone would come up and order a pumpkin spice latte, and she'd be like, I hate pumpkin spice lattes. So then she would go make the pumpkin spice latte, come back, check them out, they would take a sip and go, this is such a good pumpkin spice latte, and then they would leave. That's not how, like, a coffee shop works. I've worked at a coffee shop. You don't, if you're on the register, you're not also making coffees, especially if they're as busy as she was constantly describing. Anytime someone talked about pumpkin spice lattes, which was somehow everyone all the time, she was just so mad in her brain about how much she hated the pumpkin spice latte. There was even a scene where the male main character came across and was like, hey, I want a pumpkin spice latte. And she was like, grr, makes him for him, checks him out, and he's like, so tasty. And she's like, I hate pumpkin spice lattes. Please get a new personality trait. There's even a point in the book where the mom finally confronts the girl and is like, why do you hate pumpkin spice lattes so much? And I was like, okay, maybe we're finally getting somewhere. Maybe she has like a deep-rooted trauma with a pumpkin spice latte. Like, maybe something deep. No. Her response is that she hates them because she hates that people post about them on social media and make them look all trendy and cute. So essentially that they're popular. And the mom even says, any drink we make is going to be cute because we make cute coffee and will be posted on social media, but you don't hate any other drinks. You only hate pumpkin spice lattes. And the main character's like, grr, that's it. That's it. It's just a hateful lady who hates a pumpkin drink, and she hates the love interest, and she hates everyone. And I copied and pasted my Goodreads review into my notes for this video because I did not remember writing this and it cracked me up. I wrote that every character in this book was completely flat, except for the female main character, who had the amount of depth that was limited to the cup size of a pumpkin spice latte. It made me cackle because I am a comedian. I'm gonna sip my pumpkin spice coffee in honor of her. Delicious. The next book on this list is Spookily Yours. This book promises to be a smutty little Halloween-y little time, which it is. This book is okay if you don't think about it. Like, if you just take everything you're given in this book at face value, it's a good book. But if you start thinking, you will find a plot hole everywhere. And every single obstacle that's given to the main character is solved so unbelievably quickly that it's barely relevant to the story. If you just want to read a smutty little Halloween-y good time, just go into this and just don't think about it. That's what I did. And then the minute I started thinking about it, the more I was like, that makes no sense. And also that makes no sense. And also this makes no sense. And wait, that's not possible. And also wait, I thought that was going to be a bigger deal than it was. It's not awful, but it could have benefited by another like 100 to 150 pages worth of explanation and development, since we're being given this entire like fantasy world with realms and witch protected cities from demons, and yet somehow a demon just gets into the witch protected city. And it's not questioned. No one cares. No one questions it. No one asks how he gets in. It doesn't make any sense by the standards that the author set for the book. Speaking of holiday festive books, The Christmas Cookie Wars. I could not stand this. I did not finish it. I tried listening to this on audiobook and I simply could not. The book starts out with our main character Melody describing how she really struggles to be a single mom, and that the principal at her children's school constantly scolds her and is very like demeaning to her. So I already got an ick, because why would you want to fall in love with a guy who you describe as scolding, demeaning, and who gives you like lectures like you're a kid? This entire book hinges on the fact that you simply have to believe that a volunteer parent at the school has so much power that she cannot be fired, despite the fact that staff administration knows she's intentionally harming children in fundraising efforts. That was a lot of words, I know, but this PTO lady is set on damaging fundraising efforts and essentially forcing parents and students to bend to her will if they want the benefits of the school, like being in a school play or getting onto certain committees. But she is unpaid and a volunteer, and everyone knows that she is like this. Everyone knows. Everyone in the book is acknowledging that she is this complete villain of a PTO mom, but for some reason no one will fire her. This entire book would have just not happened if the principal said, you are overstepping your power, you're literally a volunteer, you are no longer allowed to volunteer for the rest of the school year. But no, that is way too difficult, that's way too crazy, so instead our main character is going to jump through every single loophole and plot hole and do whatever she can to like save Christmas for her kid's school, even though all it would take is telling this one lady to like GTFO. And the fact that the entire story was based on falling in love with a guy who was really rude to you and overcoming a villain who should not have even had power? Baffooning. Baffling baffooning. The last book on this list actually makes me very sad because I wanted to like this book so badly. I thought I was going to love this book, and I simply did not, and that is Fear the Flames. This book has so much confusing world building and plot holes that it's ridiculous. I personally don't normally notice plot holes until after I've finished a book. I'll finish a book and I'll look back on it and I'll go, wait, that didn't make sense. But this book had such obvious plot holes that as I was reading the book, I was confused and trying to figure out how things logistically could have been possible within this world. Like, the world building is so confusing. To the point where it does not make sense how any of it could have physically happened in the manner it does. Some of it, like, kind of hit, like, there were some, like, moments and romance moments and stuff that, like, really hit for me, but the characters were all very flat and very confusing, and the fact that the world felt so unstable and full of plot holes made all of the characters also feel unstable and full of plot holes. I couldn't really picture any of the characters in my mind, and they all felt very two-dimensional and very flat. For the female main character, who was somehow this complete oxymoron, where she was like this cozy, loving, sweet girl who at the same time was like cunning and very tortured. And I saw someone say that she's trying to be like an Aelin knockoff, and I kind of see it now, where it's like trying to be like girly and dainty and, you know, cutesy and loves lingerie and reading, but also is like this badass character. But it did not work for this character at all. And the world building is so confusing, and I can get into it for ages and I don't want to, but the main example I'm going to give, right? And this is like synopsis of the book. I promise this is not spoilery at all. The female main character broke out of the kingdom she was in because she was being very heavily mistreated by her father, and travels like very far north and starts her own kingdom, where she becomes the queen of the kingdom, and there's a bunch of people there. But there's no explanation for how this kingdom was built, like the literal buildings of the kingdom, how they have books, because she reads and loves romance books. They have no information on like how she has books, on publishing, on how she gets those. They have no information on how they get their technology, just that they have a hard time getting access to food. But they don't talk about how people found them and joined this kingdom. They don't talk about how the kingdom is established. They don't talk about the laws of the kingdom. She's the queen of the kingdom, but she can take off for months at a time, and it's like not the biggest deal. They have a whole castle and like a guard's quarters and taverns, and they make beer, and it's like, not that things can't exist and be built, but how in 15 years was all of that gone from like a flat plane of earth to like a whole bustling kingdom where she is the queen? There's no explanation for if there was already like buildings and people there and she like took them over. Like, it does not make sense. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg with the very confusing world building in this book. I could not get with the romance either. Don't get me wrong. I'm all here for a cute guy who says cute little things and who like is flirty. But the way that he was from the very beginning just icked me. It icked me out so bad. And they also call each other angel and demon, which didn't really make sense for her to be called an angel. So, you know. Anyways, those were my least favorite books of 2024. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching my video. I try to upload every Monday, so don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you read any of these books and had the same opinion or a different opinion, feel free to comment down below. Again, with respect, let's keep it classy down there. Appreciate you. I hope I didn't upset you if you like these books. I promise it's not. I don't mean to that way. It's just, I have feelings about these books and I want to talk about them, okay? That's it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again soon, okay? Bye!